Welcome to my madness, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to be taking a look at the only two figures from the Guardians of the Galaxy 3 wave that I actually picked up. Of course, we got Drax and Starlord. And look, I didn't hate the rest of the wave. They just didn't really jump out and do anything for me, so I thought I would just, for now, hold off. I mean, these MCU figures, by and large, usually don't tend to be hard to pick up, and usually over time, they don't really get worth more money, so maybe at some point I'll pick the rest of the figures up, or maybe a couple more. I don't know. It's just these were the two that I wanted, so these are the two that I picked up. I wanted Drax because I don't have another MCU version of Drax right now in my collection, and I wanted Starlord because I'm a big Starlord fan, and I liked the fact that this costume was, much closer to his comic book look, and the head sculpt from everything I had seen before I purchased it looked really good. So, yeah, that's why I picked these two up. Anyway, as far as accessories go, what you see is what you get. Starlord comes with 2 pistols, Drax comes with 2 daggers, and that's about it. I mean, you do get a Build-A-Figure piece with Drax, but that's beside the point. So, let's take a look at the figures. We'll start with Drax himself, and he looks great. He really does. I mean, look at that head sculpt. That really does look like Dave Bautista. I mean, really, really does. Costume looks great. You got good detailing there, which, of course, all the MCU, figures usually have better detailing on them. But this one is obviously no exception. Got the boots there, look fantastic. He's got sheaths on both boots for his daggers. You can see we've got some nice detailing there on the legs, although they didn't continue the red paint down into the stripes, which is a little disappointing there. They did that actually on both figures. Belt looks good, shirt looks good, we got nice detailing there on the arms. Everything just looks really, really good on this figure. I mean, it's solid. I mean, paint and sculpt is there, detail is there, head sculpt is there. As far as articulation goes, it's basic Marvel Legends articulation, so not much to go over there, but it's a well done figure. Then we've got Starlord here, and basically the same thing. First off, this head sculpt looks fantastic, especially compared to the previous ones we have gotten, which are just absolutely horrible. We do get the 2 guns there, which are different this time around, and I don't remember if they were different in this movie. I don't remember, but these are different guns than he's gotten with his last few releases. So there you go. And then as far as the sculpt and the paintwork and everything on the figure, it's the same as Drax. Belt, suit, everything looks good. It's a really good, solid figure. So I like both of them quite a bit. I think this is by far the best MCU Starlord we have gotten yet. And it's the only Drax I have at this point, but so can't really do too much comparisons there, but it's a fantastic Drax figure. So I'm really digging them at this point. But let's go ahead. We're going to pull out some other figures, mostly other Starlord figures, do some comparisons here, and see how these two stack up. And then we're going to do some head swaps and have a little fun with specifically the Starlord here. Alright, so first up to look at Drax and compare him to the other 2 Drax figures that I have. These are the only other 2 Drax figures that I have. They're both comic book Drax. Of course, on the right there we've got the older school ball joint hipped Drax from, I don't know, at least 10 years ago, maybe more. I don't even remember when this figure came out. It's a cool figure. I like it. But obviously, it leaves a lot to be desired compared to modern figures. And then, of course, we have my favorite comic book Drax, of course, the Marvel Select Drax there on the left. And he just looks fantastic. It's just a great figure. I mean, it's Marvel Select, so articulation is lacking in a couple of areas, but as far as overall sculpt and paint and detail, it's a phenomenal figure. But, comparing this Drax to these two, it looks great. I mean, obviously, this is the most modern of the figures, and I'm not just talking about from a time perspective, but just, articulation and sculpt and paint and everything. This just has a lot more going on with it. I will say, however, though, he is kind of short. I mean, this figure right here on the right is a very short figure, and he's not that much taller than him. And Dave Bautista's a pretty tall dude. I don't know exactly how tall he is. He's like 6'5", 6'6". He's a pretty tall guy. And this makes him look like he's just about 6 foot tall. So maybe this figure is a little short for Drax. Alright, now with Starlord, we got to compare him to the other two MCU Starlord figures that I have. On the left, we got Starlord from Thor Love and Thunder. On the right, we've got Starlord. I believe this is the original Starlord figure from Guardians of the Galaxy 1. And they're both actually really good figures. I really like the Guardians of the Galaxy 1 figure. This was my favorite for a really long time, except he's kind of skinny for Chris Pratt. He's not a very big, bulky figure, and while Chris Pratt is not huge, he's a decent-sized dude. This figure here from Thor Love and Thunder is a little bit more reminiscent of the build of the actor, but of course, this head sculpt here is horrible. This thing is hideous. So I actually like this figure a lot if you got rid of that head sculpt. This figure I like, but it's old and antiquated, but has a great head sculpt with the kind of masked feature of Star-Lord. I mean, either way, this figure, this new figure, is by far the best one. I mean, there's no denying that. He's got the comic book, at least more comic book accurate look to him, better head sculpt. It's just in general a better figure, but I want to try a couple head swaps here real quick and see if we can kind of improve on any of these figures. Alright, so this is what I came up with here, which was essentially taking the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie head and putting it on this one here, this new one here, and then taking the head from that one and putting it on the Thor Love and Thunder head. And I think these two look absolutely fantastic. I think that looks actually way better for both of them. It really makes this figure look much, much better. And this figure right here, actually, it suits this figure much better than it did the other figure, because you've got the black on the boots and the belt and on the gloves with the black helmet. I think it actually matches a lot better here. And so I think these two figures are vastly improved. Of course, that leaves my poor Guardians of the Galaxy 1 figure looking like this, which is a shame, but I'll be honest. I like these two figures enough the way they are that I think this is the way I'm going to leave these two figures, and I'm very happy with it. I like this unmasked head here for this outfit, and I like the masked head for this one. So I think that is how they're going to spend their time on my display. Alright, so let's talk price here real quick, and these guys are 25 bucks a piece. Question being, is it worth it? And the answer is maybe. I don't know, it depends on how much you like these characters. It depends on how much you give a crap about the MCU stuff. I do think there's definitely potential, even if you don't care about MCU stuff, for this Star-Lord to be upgraded to a pretty damn good comic version of Star-Lord. The Drax, on the other hand, if you don't like MCU stuff, you can pass on this. I do think this is the best Star-Lord that we've gotten out of the MCU lineup, and as far as the Drax goes, I see no issues with it whatsoever. It's a fantastic figure. So, I mean, look, it's 25 bucks, new entry-level price for Hasbro Marvel Legends. Do you think it's worth the entry-level price with almost no accessories minus the weapons? That's up to you. I'm glad I picked these two up. I think it was worth it for me, but as you can tell, guys, I'm going to be doing some head swaps and some things to it, at least with the Star-Lord, to kind of make it a little bit more my own, and maybe that adds a little enjoyment for myself, so your mileage may vary on these figures. Anyway, guys, look, I'm glad I picked them up. I'm happy with them. I think they're great figures, but ultimately it comes down to what you guys think, which I would love to hear in the comments section down below, so be sure to let me know that. And as always, guys, thank you for watching, and always remember to enjoy your collection.